402-403-9478. Text us. It's Pat and JT on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Add us. Say hello. Like our stuff.
So anyway, we have Rhianna Mays back with us. It's been way too long.
Hi, Rhianna.
It has been way too long.
It has been way too long.
I know. So what have you been up to? First off, let's start over. Let's just start with a little bit of background on you and what you do, so we know why you've been so busy.
Yeah, and there might be some new people that don't know. So I am.
I don't know about that, but that's fine.
You don't think there's any new people listening to you,
No,
right? Really?
Stop it.
So I'm an energy transformer and intuitive. And what that means is I take low vibrating energy or trauma energy stuck in the body or stress or anxiety or even physical pain, and I help transform it and transmute it so that you can live your best life possible, balanced, healed, welled. I'm a Holy Fire 3 Reiki master, an Access Consciousness Bars practitioner. And really my whole goal is to get rid of everything that you are not. So societal programming, the crap your parents taught you that no longer resonates, things that your teachers told you, traumas that have happened to you. We're none of those things. We really are perfect, amazing spiritual beings having a human experience. And this reality teaches us differently and really changes our worthiness. And I just try to create balance in people, peace and hope and calm, and really just allow who they be to show up.
When you say energy, or when you say, with your frequency, for some people, they're still trying to make that connection of what that means. But you also say the things that are, especially things that are traumatic. And when you say it keeps you in a lower frequency, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean it doesn't allow you to grow at that point, or it doesn't allow you to see any good stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So frequency, we are everything is energy, and quantum physics is showing us that, though it's complicated. It really does come down to everything is frequency or energy. And so if you have an experience, and this is happening for the collective right now. All of our generational trauma is coming up for healing.
But like even on an individual case, like if you've been in a car wreck, and God, I tell you, I had a target on my back. I swear to God, for so long, I've knocked on wood so many, whatever this is.
It's not wood. I think it's sustainable something
or other. Anyway, but like I was in. Was it 13 or 14? I think 14.
I thought it was 13.
Might have been 13 though, but I'd been hit 13 times.
Holy cow!
And so it started when I was 16, and but I've never felt like PTSD.
Oh, okay.
I've never felt like that. Now I will drive a bigger truck.
Yeah,
that might be a little bit of PTSD showing up.
Very subtle PTSD. I do drive a Hummer with a cow catcher on the front, but other than that, I'm totally good.
Everything's fine. And I only drive at 6 a.m.
And a Xanax lick on the dashboard. I'm fine.
I've come to terms, man. I'm fine. But yeah, it does make me more aware of what people are doing around me on the roads, because it's always somebody that came out of nowhere that hit me, or something hit me, and so I'm always watching and calling names. But anyway, but so it can be something as simple as that causes you to react in a way that isn't healthy for you.
Yeah. So what I think the original question was, how is the energy low vibrating showing up in your life? Right?
I think, because I think for a lot of people, they don't quite understand the word frequency. Because when I first heard it, I was like, I don't know what you mean, but I know what it means when I walk barefoot in the grass.
Yeah. Okay. So everything is energy, and there can be a lower vibrational energy or a higher vibrational energy. And if you are feeling or stuck in lower vibrational energy, you're going to experience emotions like anger, sadness, depression, fear, right? And those are lower vibrational energies. And if you're a visual person, you could even look on DuckDuckGo of emotional vibration scale. And it goes from, I think the bottom one is revenge or something like that, right? So it goes from really low to love and peace and joy. And so when things happen to us, or when we decide, because even our own thoughts or things that people have said to us that we accepted as truth, those can repeat on a record player over and over again, creating this frequency or vibration or energy that we continue to experience over and over and over. I always know that I'm not choosing the best thoughts or whatever when experiences keep showing up in my life that I do not like, right? So somebody's rude to me, and then somebody cuts me off, and then my kids are back talking to me, and it's like, whoa, what in me needs adjusted energetically or vibrationally so that I can climb that emotional scale to a higher frequency? And a lot of people get stuck in their head that they have to go from the very bottom to feeling joy and love. And that's not really possible. Abraham Hicks talks about, and if you're not familiar with Abraham Hicks, get on YouTube and check it out because she's a law of attraction teacher. But she talks about just choose one emotion higher, right? So my goal as an energy transformer is to help alleviate and remove all of those things stuck in your body, all of those experiences, all of the choices, all of the voices in your head telling you you're not good enough or you're not doing enough or whatever it is, to help remove that and shift that so that you can just raise in frequency. Think about like a hot air balloon, right? When they have that on the ground, it's tied by 4 ballasts, I think is the word, ballasts. And it's that hot air balloon is tied to the ground. But when you cut 1 or 2, it starts to lift off the ground. And that's what I'm doing is my goal is to cut all that which anchors you so that you can rise in vibration. And that will create better experiences in your life, a nicer self-talk. And you'll feel different. You'll be able to laugh more easily. You'll feel joy and love. You'll be able to receive love. And that's really my whole goal is this reality has created a version of you that really isn't who you are. And if we can get rid of all those experiences being held in your body, because we're energetic beings, so we hold on to those experiences. Even if you thought you've talked through it for years and you've come to a place where you accept it, if you still have triggers or moments where your stomach kind of tightens up and you're physically reacting to the energy still in your body. And what I do helps to lift that out so that you can just be free of it.
Okay, does that kind of frequency have anything to do with, and I can't remember the name for it, is it Schumann's
resonance?
Resonance. Yeah. Are those connected?
Well,
or does one affect the other?
Kind of both. So the Schumann resonance is the Earth's natural frequency. It's usually at like a 7 hertz. And for a while now, Earth has been vibrating at a 13 hertz, which means that she is vibrating higher.
I keep seeing posts from people. This last weekend, it was like posts of, and it was basically, you'd see the screen and it looks like something from after an earthquake, right? It bounces back and forth and it's going across. And you see some reds and some yellows, then some greens and then some white.
Yeah.
And it was like
white out.
This last weekend. Is when it was.
We've been experiencing that a lot. So what's happening is, because Earth is vibrating higher, it means that the people on Earth have to raise in vibration too, or they're exiting the planet. And you're seeing a lot of that.
Can it go both ways? Like if the people start vibrating higher, then also the 100%, Earth reacts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're also getting help from the Creator, from other people. Think that we're getting help from like other alien forces,
outside sources.
Yeah, outside sources.
Third parties.
Are third parties that are higher vibrational than us because they're farther along the evolution scale than we are. Like honestly, humans are like the new guys on the block, and so a lot of other dimensions even have gone through what we're going through right now. And so it's kind of like an all hands on deck right now. So they're sending light. The sun is sending light. The solar flares that we're seeing popping off right now are also part of raising the vibration of Earth. So so as we vibrate higher, it does impact Earth. And then as Earth raises higher, it impacts us. And that's why you're seeing so many people wake up right now. I know it seems like there's still a whole bunch of people like dead asleep and not willing to see what's going on or not even wanting to heal their own anger
Right.
or sadness or whatever. But I'm seeing evidence to the contrary. I've never had more men coming for healing.
I was just going to bring that up as a matter of fact.
Last week, 40% of my clients were men, and it was...
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
It was...
It used to be exclusively
insane.
women, right?
I was like 98% women for, I mean, I'm almost celebrating. Next month will be my 5th anniversary of doing this.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
It's really an honor. But yeah, more men are coming, and when I ask them, you know, what are we working on? They're like, I'm just so sick of being this way, right? Like they're angry and depressed, and our society has taught them. I think the biggest thing men are recognizing right now is they haven't been allowed to process emotions. They've just stuffed it down, right? Man up. So when a man really wants to cry or be vulnerable, he doesn't feel like that's safe in the home or society or whatever, he just shoves it down. And so then that energy frequency turns into a blockage, which then means that your natural life force, what keeps you alive, what fuels your organs, that life force can't flow. It's like a detour, right? But it's not going to where it needs to go. And then the organs start to shut down. And then you see disease, right? Dis-ease, literally dis-ease. So what I do is creating ease in the body so that your life force can flow evenly. And men are starting to recognize this isn't working. Well, and they are seeking it out.
They can, by saying that you can never be anything less than manly testosterone, that's wrong. And you have to stop that. That doesn't mean you can never be manly testosterone too. Yeah. It's not one or the other. It's not, you have to be completely, and I don't want to go with the toxic masculinity that phrase got thrown around a lot. It's like, well, all masculinity isn't toxic.
Yeah.
Masculinity is still very much needed.
I want a very masculine
you
man.
want that. And I think that's where some of that got lost in the translation, that it was, you can't be that, you have to always be this. And it's like, never and always are really absolute terms.
Yeah, 100%. And we all have masculine and feminine energies in our body. And when you see a really strong sway one way or the other is when the balance is, when the energies are unbalanced. And the goal for all of us is really to have balance in that. So you can be a masculine man and play football and love all those typical man things, right? But then you can also be really gentle and soothing and be a safe place for the female to really fall and collapse into you. And to be able to communicate your needs and your desires and your emotions. That is balance. And that's what's really needed in all of us.
Right.
Because I'm seeing, I literally had to tattoo flowers to my feminine side to bring more feminine energy in because of my trauma and being a single mom. I had to wear this masculine hat for so long. I had to protect myself, right? And then I had to protect my children. Then I had to be the sole provider for my family. And that's all very much the masculine hat or the masculine energy. And so then when I would meet a true masculine, my masculine energy would combat his masculine energy. And it was just this mess. And so to really create balance, being able to be intuitive and to be creative and not live this societal, you must work and elbow grease. And so really finding the balance, and we all need that. And I think the men are really starting to recognize it isn't working for them the way society has set them up thus far.
Or they've realized, I can do this. I can go ahead and do this. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to be able to say his name. I've been trying to knock it around in my head. He used to date Katy Perry. God help me.
What is this? Russell
Brand?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. He was very vocal about a lot of things. And just recently, he came out and made quite this little video. And apparently, hello, red pill, right?
He's really red pilling right now, and I don't want to go down that.
I don't want to go all the way down.
No, it's a different episode.
But I know, right? It's like I'm not going to get into the politics of it and he doesn't really get into the politics of it, but he just gets into the fact of all of a sudden, I'm realizing. I've been fed a line basically, and you guys, they're trying to keep us mad at each other. They're trying to separate us. And he gave a bunch of different examples as to what he now sees and as a matter of fact, prior to this, he defended that. Mm-hmm. He was absolutely 100% in favor of the way the status quo was, and that what this is going is 100% wrong, and what I'm doing is 100% right. And now he just like all of a sudden they put this video out, and I'm like, of all people, I'm actually watching a video of Russell
and
Brand
talking about it.
I couldn't remember. Right when I saw him, I'm sorry, but the picture that flashes in my head of Russell Brand,
he's rough looking.
It's not. Do you remember that picture when he was like?
Well, he's come a long way.
He was one with nature at the moment.
Yes.
And he was standing with his foot on an ottoman.
He needed a manscaped lawnmower. Is what he needed. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He was proud to put that picture out there.
Yes, he was.
But anyway, and he is such a character. But I just thought he was like one of those that are like way out there, that it's like all of a sudden he's like, whoa, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Something
so he's finding balance even in himself. And I feel like, so though even a lot of people in the spiritual community don't necessarily understand me, they recognize my, and maybe they don't even understand my job, but I feel like I'm trying to create balance too, because even in the spiritual new age community, there is a lot of only positive vibes and only high frequency, and you can only be love and light, and you can't look at the darkness or have a bad day. And that's incredibly toxic too. And so really, I think right now is for everyone is just finding the balance. Mm-hmm. You're allowed to have bad days, but do you recognize maybe what the bad day is trying to show you, right? And if you're having a bad day every day, what in you needs healed that is creating these bad days? And that's part of my work, is really trying to help people find the balance.
Yeah.
And when I first started, it was to create hope, right? And I always describe myself as throwing a life raft to people when they're in fast, choppy waters, drowning. Because when I was my most overwhelmed, I just needed a moment to catch my breath, and I needed that life raft. And that's what I try to be. So while people can breathe, they can find their footing, and then they can find balance, and then they can find joy, right? And that's the process.
And that's the whole process.
And that's why I show up every day.
So that's just a part of what you do, though. Let's talk. I've talked about Jack before, because she does other things too. As a matter of fact, she helped me just this weekend too. Yesterday, about helping people just through remotely. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to always be in person. That's something else to throw out there too.
Yeah, that's a good, because I would say probably 90% of my work is in person.
I think that would, for me anyway, when we would have Psychic Andy on a long time ago, and he would be able to talk to people on the phone and pick up on their energy. That was the hardest thing for me to grasp onto. But then after evolving over the last 10 years and realizing that it's all about energy, you can be wherever in the world and connect with someone's energy. And now it makes total sense. And you could do your job wherever.
And that's awesome that you saw that. And a lot of people still don't understand it. So,
because I thought it was crazy. I'm like, that's absolutely crazy. It's a total hoax, because there's no way you can connect with someone when they're on the other side of the world. It's just BS.
Which is terrible too, because at the same time you loved Andy.
Yeah, I love Andy.
But he's total bullshit.
Yeah. I'm like, right. He'd be talking to Becky or whatever in Boston, and we're like, what a liar.
So, and that's
but why I love him, but now I totally get it.
And that's awesome, because a lot of people still don't get it. I have clients on every continent except Antarctica or whatever, but
that you know of.
Oh God!
I'm
Stop!
not gonna go there.
Stop! I'm gonna mute your microphone. It's muted.
Let's not go with Antarctica.
Yeah.
I just meant
I'm muting your microphone now. That was the Pat and JT show. Good Lord.
I'm not doing it. Why is my microphone? I was going to talk about remote healing.
Okay,
so basically,
Okay.
quantum mechanics explains that, and Tesla was going to build free energy from this same field. So we're all connected to a field. I think 99% of this reality is the field of energy, right? And if you think about, we're just radio towers, essentially. We're picking up and receiving and sending out these frequencies.
That's why when you walk in a room, somebody walks in a room, instantly, some people immediately hit you with a force field, whether it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
Right?
And
You're
then,
like,
and so if you think about, we are radio towers picking up and receiving and sending energy, and then we're translating it into words or emotions. So that's how we can work remotely. And Lynn McTaggart has a book called The Field, and she is a journalist that takes a whole bunch of science and talks to scientists and quantum mechanic experts and breaks it down into layman's terms. So if anybody's really interested in that, that would be a good book to understand. Even Bruce Lipton talks about this with epigenetics and stuff like that. So yeah, I do have clients all over the globe, and I can channel in that moment and tell in real time what's happening. I can also just shoot off like first aid, or I can, I do lots of stuff remotely. So I can help. First aid would be like when people contact me and they're like, hey, I'm having a moment, I'm freaking out. I can send off first aid. Like just the other day, I have a client, a Reiki master, who was going to sign a lease for a studio. And she has family that thinks she's like poking voodoo dolls in the closet, right? Like they don't understand it. They're not on board. Right. And I totally get it. And she had this moment where she was freaking out. And I just sent off first aid Reiki to her. And she messaged me a couple minutes later and she's like, okay, I'm calm now. Thank you so much. And she signed the lease. And now she's going to show up for other people this way too, which is happening more and more. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what happened with, I told her about Jack.
Oh yeah.
Right? When he hurt his paw. And the next morning he was supposed to keep it wrapped for a week. He couldn't put any pressure on it when he went to bed that night.
And you were worried about him walking up and down stairs.
And he couldn't get up and down the stairs because he would stumble down the stairs because he tried to hop instead of using that sore foot. If he did use the sore foot, he'd collapse on it. And and so I'm like, oh God, this is going to be a long week with him like this. And the next morning, he was standing on all fours and up and down the stairs like nobody's business.
And I only spent 10, 15 minutes working on him. And so it really is just a profound example of what is possible, especially if you're open to it and willing to start shifting. Because
I think part of it also was in his mind, he was fearful of putting any weight on that foot. So he wasn't even testing the waters. And that was, it was like readjusting everything. So very good. And then yesterday, yes, I had to have work done on my
face hole.
Yes.
Somebody around the office yesterday, he's like, well, Jill's getting her mouth taken care of. What are you going to make fun of? I'm like, oh, there's plenty. But I'll still.
This is just what we're focusing on.
It's only phase one. It's not complete yet.
It's
so
going to take like 6 months to get this done.
Yeah. So we got a good 6 months of face hole.
Yeah. It's awesome. So my bridge broke. Right. And so I had to then, one of the roots got cracked on one of the it's like, oh my God. And I've had this bridge though.
And it's right before Sweet Stock too. So when she was on stage and she'd smile, you could like totally almost like see her tonsils because there's a big hole in the side of her mouth.
Oh no.
It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it's not, I'm not, oh, never mind. Anyway, so I got that done yesterday, and I was just going in when I sent you a text yesterday morning, just getting ready to go in.
And I shot off first aid.
Everything went swimmingly. And it's really weird. As they said, I fell asleep. I don't remember falling asleep. I don't really feel like I lost time, but then again, I'm thankful if I did. But then I got home and everything was fine, and rested the rest of the day, and I feel fine today. It's still to the touch. Well, don't poke the bear.
Yeah.
If I leave it alone, it's absolutely.
So is it soup to eat today? Is that all you can really eat?
Soft food. Yeah, I can't have anything crunchy or no super chewy. I can have noodles.
Yeah, and soup that'll drip out of your face hole.
But the pain's better. And Reiki will also help speed up the recovery process. So that was part of my goal with Jack was the pain and then speed up the recovery process.
Because then I did take him back in. I didn't say this. I took him back in. He had it happen on a Friday. Took him back in on Tuesday, because his wrap was getting loose. They took it off and they said, well, I don't think we need to put this back on.
Yeah, that's part of it. I even had one client, she messaged me, and I don't take credit for this. It is truly the Reiki. It truly is. I'm simply channeling God energy. I've started to channel Christed energy, and it's a frequency, very high vibrational, and do I dare say similar to maybe what Jesus himself channeled. And even in the Bible, it says you will do great things and even better than I did, because we all have this ability, but our culture has told us we don't have this ability. Our culture has taught us that being a psychic or being a medium is weird, because again, it's they want to lower our vibration, and if they can control us, you know what I mean? If we don't really know our full power, then we can be more easily controlled. But I had a client who reached out to me, and her daughter had been in a dirt bike accident and had broke a couple vertebrae in the back. And I spent probably 2 hours within the first couple hours of her injury. And she didn't have to have any surgery. And she was back on a bike like a few weeks later. And the doctors were shocked. And I know for a fact it's because the Reiki energy got in there and started repairing even before the body, you know, it just helped.
Do you think we'll ever get to a place in our society where someone like you is in an ER?
There are over 900 hospitals in the U.S. that use Reiki. It's used all over the globe too. And then even here in town, there's a manual in children's use something called Healing Touch. And it's very similar to Reiki. We're channeling the same God, white light, but it's not Japanese. So it's more accepted in our culture, whatever. So yeah, 100%, it's already being used.
Like, do people have to ask permission? Like, do they have to ask permission to use Reiki on them, or could they just have someone in the room and just doing it? Yeah, like I would think that it's so unintrusive that you could just walk in the room and be masked up and have a gown and just be doing what you do to help them, whether they know it or not.
Yeah. So yes and no. So one, you're supposed to give Reiki with permission. You can't intervene or override anybody's free will. But a way around that is that you can just turn Reiki on. So in an emergency room, have it flowing. And then if it is, set the intention and tell the body, if you're not open to this, it won't go into you, right? So I'm constantly channeling Reiki. And an example of this is my dad had a stroke a couple years ago, and he is my dad. I love him, but he's like not open to what I do, right? He supports me. Like, he'll watch my kids anytime I need to work, but he does not want me working on him. And so he had a stroke. I was the last one to show up at the hospital. It's January. Everybody's wearing sweatshirts and coats. And I'm walking down the hall and I can see the room right in front of me. And I just said, Reiki, turn on and flow to anybody that is open to it and that needs it. Because at the time, my sister was a hell no. My dad was a no, right? Like, everybody in my family was, I don't know what you're doing, and do not do it on me. And so I turned Reiki on, walked into the room, and Reiki was flowing. And within a few minutes, everyone's stripping off coats and sweatshirts. And my dad, I was there for about 45 minutes. And my dad had lost total function of his right side, was slurring his words. And within a couple days, he had like 85% of his right hand use back. He was talking. You could understand his words. And I know for a fact it's because of that, the Reiki got in there almost immediately and started to help the body repair itself.
Does he acknowledge that? Or
I've never told that story to my family. My sister listens, so hi.
Hi. Just I'll let you know. I'm sure.
But I do it all the time. And so even like if I'm at the grocery store and there's a mean lady in front of me and the cashier feels stressed out, I'll just turn Reiki on. And the intention is, if they're not open to it, won't go into them. It won't override their free will. But if they are, it'll go in and start shifting the energy for them.
Okay, interesting.
That's something. Is that something that just on a day-to-day basis? And I know, I'm going to keep track of time for you because we only have limited time with you. But can people do that? Just the layman of the world, when you're in a situation, you see a situation, and you just kind of like take a deep breath and just like, oh, please help them see this is a good thing. You know, just kind of like you want to see a good outcome of something. Does that affect your situation at all, or help their situation at all?
100%. So even if you're not attuned to Reiki and channeling it, because everything is a quantum mechanics and energy is affected by thoughts. Again, your thoughts and emotions are 100% impacting. So if you are wishing well on that person, then good energy will flow to them. And then it's the same thing. Like we can curse other people by being mad at them. So when you say F you, and you're literally cursing them by sending that, you're like throwing daggers of negative energy at them. And if they are unhealed in a way, that dagger will stick in them too. Like I've cleared so many curses from people unconsciously that they've thrown at me because they're mad about something I'm saying, and I'm challenging their cognitive dissonance.
Why do people call them curse words?
Yeah, 100%.
Right? I never thought about that.
You can curse them energetically, but you can also
there's an origin to these things.
You can also it's why we call it spelling. Words are energy or magic. So but what you were talking about, so when people say I'm sending you love and light, I always in my mind's eye, did you ever watch the Care Bear movie when they're all standing shoulder to shoulder and sending out Care Bears?
I can imagine.
Are your kids like the perfect age for Care Bears? Is that the reason why
they're a
you
little
were
past it. I was obsessed with Care Bears.
Oh my gosh,
when I was a kid.
Creepy.
No, I loved
Creepo-deepo.
I loved Care Bears. But basically, they will send out white light
Not
from
shocking
their
that
belly.
you love Care Bears, though.
No, it's not.
It's right, total the
I love
brand.
it. I love it.
And so that's what I picture when we say, I'm sending you love and light. It's like we're all just beaming this heartfelt white light at people. And it absolutely changes the energy of a situation.
So when you see somebody struggling, I mean, even if it's something you're not a situation that you're not a part of, I do that. So, it's like, I'll see it. I'm like, oh gosh, just let him listen to her just for a second, or please, quit talking long enough to hear what she's saying. She's trying to help you, just little things like that.
Just send love. So a lot of the times I'll send Reiki I teach my students, like if you have a meeting coming up in a couple days, you can send Reiki to that, or send positive thoughts or positive love. And the intention would be that, yes, everybody is heard, that the feel of the room is calm, right? I sent Reiki to the I don't know if I've told the story, but the first Christmas, I'm totally high family. So the first Christmas I ever went to at my dad's house, I was still kind of estranged from my family. They blamed me for everything. I was the scapegoat, right? And I totally get it. And I sent Reiki for a week every day to my dad's house for Christmas Eve. And I just said, anybody that's open to it, it'll go in, but just create an environment that feels safe and loving, right? And at the end of it, my brother said, this has been the best Christmas Eve ever. And I'm like, yes,
it worked.
Totally worked.
You guys don't even know.
And to this day, I never said what I was doing, right? So your intentions and your love, even if you don't channel Reiki, you can absolutely shift the energy of something through your thoughts and love and intention. And a lot of us are here right now. There's a lot of people right now that feel like they're here with an intention or purpose, a big job, right? They feel like they have big jobs. And 98% of those of us that are here with these big jobs, your only job really is to be here, to heal, because your frequency, your natural spirit is a vibration, and there's millions of us anchoring that light down, and it's shifting the globe. And that is your job, is just to heal and be authentically yourself and reach for those higher emotions as often as you can and live in those, truly be those higher emotions. And you're doing your job right there.
Don't be overwhelmed.
You're anchoring in the light.
Very cool. Very cool. How do we find you?
RhiannaMays.com.
It's really easy.
Yeah, and I'm usually booked out a month in advance, and I actually have October sessions available still. So
get on it.
now. Yeah.
Christmas gifts too.
Yeah, I do offer gift cards in person or online.
If you know somebody who's been thinking about it, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's somebody you know, though.
Yeah.
Why not?
Anybody that's stressed, dealing with some trauma experiences, anybody that's in physical pain, anybody that's dealing with some job loss or stress, anything like that, Reiki will absolutely benefit in big ways.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for letting me be here and tell people about
Thanks.
it.
It's great to see you.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Okay, so RhiannaMays.com.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
And we'll link that in our description as well.
Yes.
So thank you guys for listening.
Bye.
Text us 402-403-9478, or it's Matt JT.
Pat and JT Podcast, a Hurrdat Media Production.